The opinions and information provided on Equity Strategies are those of the guest companies solely and do not necessarily represent Radio America or Stu Taylor. We do not warrant nor guarantee the accuracy of the statements made by the guest on the program. Guests may pay a fee to appear on the program and are not affiliated with Equity Strategies in any manner.
All right, greetings. We've got a lot to talk about today, and let me just say later on we will kind of have a parody, a little lightness because of what's going on in the election. Joining us will be old friend. I've interviewed him on the Bernie Madoff book and other great books. Lawrence Leamer. He's got a brand new book out, The President's Butler. But let's open up with our first guest, and I think you're going to get a lot out of this. Her name is Claire Brooks, and she has written a terrific book. The book is called Marketing with Strategic Empathy, Inspiring Strategy with Deeper Consumer Insight, and it is published by Kogan, Kogan. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Kogan Page. And I welcome you. And let me just, before I have you come on, let me just say that Claire is the president of Model People, Inc. It's a global brand insights and strategy consulting business, offices in the U.S. and the U.K. Her resume is, in her bio here is really quite extraordinary, but I think we perhaps should proceed with the interview, and you can check her out by getting the book. Welcome. It's so nice to have you on, Claire.
Thank you, Stu. It's really nice to be on your program.
Okay, a pleasure here. And let me ask you about the book, Marketing with Strategic Empathy, Inspiring Strategy with Deeper Consumer Insight. There are a lot of components that are involved in successful marketing, promotion, sales, etc. Why the emphasis? And I know we become, or at least we may be becoming, a much more socially conscious world in terms of business. I mean, I'm not sure I see that anymore with what's going on. Why are you focusing on empathy?
Well, Stu, life is moving faster than ever. There's a term for this. It's VUCA, a world of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And this is the world we live in now. And so marketing has always had an emphasis on understanding the customer. That's, motherhood. It's kind of baked into what you do in marketing. But in this VUCA world, everything's moving so fast that you don't get time to stop and understand your customer. And so you really need to develop empathy as a sort of muscle memory. You really need to develop an understanding of your customer that goes with you all the time, that enables you to develop strategy quickly and develop marketing programs quickly. And it's more an understanding. It's an intuition. It's empathy, a very deep understanding. And everybody in an organization needs to develop this nowadays. It isn't enough for empathy to be contained within the marketing department or within the C-suite, because everybody in an organization has contact with customers, is executing product programs, and everybody needs to develop this empathy. So that's really the core of the book, explaining why that's the case, and laying out some processes and some skills that people can adopt and learn to do this.
All right, you talk about empathy, you talk about it coupled with strategic action and being adaptable and flexible. And I think on this later point, I want to attribute a quote to the brilliant Mike Tyson, who, by the way, is fascinating to listen to, who says, everyone has a strategy until you get punched in the nose. So how do you go about with having a sustainable strategy that, as you say, is adaptable and flexible?
I love that quote, and it's absolutely right. And that's a VUCA quote. That's great. I'm going to give you an example, a case study that is maybe the best way to explain this. We've all learned the theory of how you develop marketing strategy. You take 3 months, same time every year. You go through this, laid down process, and you come out at the end with a written down strategy. Everybody knows that. That's what you're taught in business school. But I'll give you an example. My consultancy recently worked with a huge global technology company, and really you would know them, renowned as people who do things really well and innovatively. And they had launched a consumer device which was driven by artificial intelligence, AI, and it really had done very well. But long before this annual planning process, the marketing and the product and the insights people decided, look, we need to really adapt our marketing strategy fast. We need to take the punch in the face and dodge the punch. We really need to leverage our success. We need to defend our brand against upcoming competitive launches. And so by going through the strategic empathy process, which I outline in the book, in 3 weeks, they were able to really develop some deep empathy with their customers, the people buying this new device. Why were they buying it? What did they want from it? How could those learnings be taken and applied to product and developed, to bring in new customers? So in 3 weeks, they really adapted their marketing strategy using this strategic empathy process, 3-step process.
You utilized, and I love the fact that you've really done your research, 50 case studies. Talk about some of the common threads of success in those 50 case studies, and conversely, what seemed to be something that's out of sync, like when Yogi Berra played for the Yankees, he was a bad ball hitter. You wouldn't teach anyone to do that, and yet he was successful.
It's a good point. Common threads are really about the openness and willingness of an organization to be empathetic. And so what we do in my consultancy, Model People, we create what we call learning journeys for organizations. Organizations have to become learning organizations in this new VUCA world to develop this empathy, this muscle memory. And so we pull together quite large groups of people from across the organization. It might be marketing managers, product managers, insights and strategy managers, sometimes designers. And we take them on a learning journey. We engage them in immersive research with their customers so that they really can observe and understand their customers' lives, how they use their products. And then we pull them into an interactive strategizing process, which helps them to really boil down what they've seen, develop the key insights, and turn that into strategy. And so that's the common thread across the 50 case studies that are in the book. In terms of taking a weakness and turning it into a strength, that's an interesting one. And that's where the intuition and the hunches of a really great, somebody who's really good at what they do, that's where that comes in. So you might observe something very small about the way that your customer's using a product or the way that they talk about their motivations for using the product, and a light bulb goes off. It's counterintuitive to what you do and what you're good at, but you manage to turn that into something that is breakthrough. And those are the little clues that really can lead to breakthrough thinking and breakthrough strategy. When you come across something that you just hadn't expected, and you're able to observe that and then turn it into a successful strategy.
We all have roles. Some of those roles are predefined by the affiliations that we have. Others are roles that we indeed establish ourselves and personalized. Should everyone, in a sense, you can say everyone's a leader, everyone should be. Should everyone become a strategist?
Yeah, and I talk about this in the book, and it's a tough call because people take years to learn how to do strategy and to learn by failing and learn by doing. But the point, that the truth behind everyone must become a strategist is that everyone's got to develop some level of empathy with the people that they serve. And it's not just, for-profit organizations. We might be talking about non-profit organizations needing to understand their donors. So it's true for anybody who is involved in executing strategy. People have to have that empathy. They have to be able to turn on a dime and understand what's required to execute on a daily basis and to develop transformative strategy formation, in a slightly longer sort of 3-week process instead of on a dime. Does that make sense?
Claire, what was the biggest surprise you learned when writing this book? Perhaps some research that revealed data that were perhaps contradictory to what you originally went in thinking about when you wrote it?
That's a really interesting question. And I obviously did an awful lot of background research. And it's interesting once you start to do that research, you hear people talking about empathy. And here's what I think I concluded. Empathy can come across as fuzzy. Isn't that something that, counselors talk about and therapists and so on? And I really decided that strategic empathy had to be action-oriented. So it has to be understanding followed by action, or it's not strategic. So what we're focused on is developing empathy as this form of muscle memory within an organization, turning everybody into a strategist if we can. But then something has to happen. And that's where the adapting of strategy comes along. And so that was the thing that sort of coalesced for me as I wrote the book. It has to be action-oriented, or it's not.
Yeah, and speaking about that, let me just use another paraphrasing thought sentence by the great General Patton, who said that everybody should have a strategy, but you've got to be able to execute the strategy. Talk about the metamorphosis or the link between having a strategy and execution.
Well,
I've got about 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah, execution means making decisions. And so it's great to do this research, develop the empathy, but you have to make a decision about what you do next.
All right. It's been a pleasure, Claire Brooks. Marketing with strategic empathy, inspiring strategy with deeper consumer insight. Thank you.